Sandy says read, and welcome to the channel. Tonight we are going to do a review and discussion of the Unwanted Quests Dragon Captives. Now, this is a young adult, it's a middle grade fantasy novel by Lisa McMann. You guys, okay, before we start, I want to remind you that there is a bingo card that you can download for yourselves. The bingo card, there is a Bingo Baker page, which I will put a link to in the drop-down box below, so you can go and generate your own Sandy Says Read Bingo Baker card so that you can check off these sayings and phrases as I say them during this review, because I'm probably going to start saying them right away. Not saying I'm predictable, just saying that I'm probably going to say some of these things. And you might as well get the dopamine rush, that dopamine hit each time I say them. Yeah. Okay. All right. This is a young adult, middle grade fantasy novel. I thought that I was getting the first book in a duology. And I still think that I did. I still think that I did. I did get the second book in the duology too. I didn't realize when I purchased these two books for the Dragon Reading Challenge of 2024 that I was getting into the middle of a huge series. You guys, okay, let's see. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 books in front of this one. I didn't realize that. I even researched. I even looked it up. Okay, there are 7 books that tell a story of these unwanted characters before this book. But this book and the next book, what is it? The adventure continues in, I cannot read that. Hold, please. Dragon Bones. Okay, the next book in this, the second book in the duology is Dragon Bones. So we have Dragon Captives and Dragon Bones. The 7 books before this basically prepare the way for this duology. Of course, they are their own story. It's a series. The characters develop and the world is built, right? Okay. I did not read the first 7 books. So I'm reading this book. I'm about to read the second book in the duology. I'm about to read Dragon Bones, but I'm bringing you this one first. It's a good introduction to the world. I mean, this book, I did not feel that I was missing out on the world. I didn't feel that I was missing out on the battles that took place before. I didn't feel that I was missing out on character development, because Lisa does a very nice job of like interspersing little hints of, okay, this battle happened. Okay, this queen was banished. Okay, this character was married to this character, or this character is partnered with this character. Okay, she does a good job of explaining how those things came about without info dumping. Okay, she doesn't info dump that stuff. She just weaves it in there. And I liked that. Very nice. So I didn't feel lost. I never felt lost as I was reading the book. It just worked. I just thought, oh crap, there were 7 books before this one, and there was a whole story. There was a war. There was a building of the things. What happens is these unwanteds, these characters, they are children who have a magical ability to them. They have the ability to do magic, and because of that, they are sent to an island. They are exiled from other places. They're sent off to this island so that they cannot work their magic on other people. So they cannot damage anyone. So they cannot influence anyone. So they have to live in their own. They're like misfits, like the island of misfit toys. Okay, they're sent to this unwanted place. Shall we begin with the specs? Now that I've given you that, let's begin with the specs. This is the Unwanted Quests Book 1, Dragon Captives by Lisa McMann. It's a middle grade fantasy. It was published 2017 by Aladdin, an imprint of Simon & Schuster. This one is 419 pages. Let me read the back cover for you. Identical twins Pfeiffer and Thisbe Stowe have amazing yet uncontrollable magical abilities. They're naturally more gifted than even their brother Alex, the head mage of Arteme, could hope to be. But when they accidentally use their magic in the jungle of Arteme and strike down a beloved creature, Alex is furious and threatens to lock them away until they can learn to control their power. The threat is soon forgotten, though, when Hux, the ice blue dragon, comes to Arteme bearing the horrible news that his siblings have been enslaved by the notoriously evil Revenir, ruler of the Dragon Land. Seeking a chance to right their wrong and escape their brother's wrath, Thisbe and Pfeiffer, together with their friend Seth, sneak away to rescue the dragons from grave peril. Will their untrained abilities be enough to save the dragons and themselves when they come face to face with the Revenir? Okay, now the Sandy synopsis, my synopsis, I just wrote internal battles. Because you guys, I don't want to give this stuff away. I don't want to give too much away. I want to recommend this book to middle grade readers out there. I think young adult readers would get something out of this. It is a middle grade young adult book. I think that parents would get something out of this reading this to their kids. It's very clean. There's no bad language in it. There are good lessons in it. Let's see, did I write down any of the lessons? Yes, I sort of kind of did. Okay, we'll get to that in a second here. Those are kind of all over the place here. How do I want to say this without giving it all away? There is an overarching lesson. It takes a little while to get to that concept. There's an overarching lesson that we all have good and bad inside us. Brilliant. Okay. Every one of us has good thoughts and bad thoughts. I mean, Lisa doesn't say this in here, but, like in the Bible, Paul says, I don't want to do the things that I do, and I can't stop from doing it, right? Paraphrased by Sandy. Okay. But that is in us. Okay. Every one of us has stuff in us that we wish we could be better. We wish we could be a better person. Speaking for myself, I wish I could be a better person. And sometimes I do crap that I'm like, oh, what the heck, right? The characters in here, there are some characters in here. There's one in particular named Dev, and we'll talk about him in a second. Dev, he's very interesting, right? He does things, and you're like, oh my gosh, why didn't we just stab him? Well, first of all, it's a middle grade fantasy. We're not stabbing people, but we look at him and think, oh my gosh, this character is awful. He's a cretin. And then he turns around, he does something that is good because he's got this dichotomy working inside of him. Brilliantly done. And we learned that these dragons, there are dragons in the dragon captives. These dragons are held captive in a dragon land, and these kids go to help these dragons. And they're like, you guys are dragons. Why don't you just burn up these people that are holding you captive? Why don't you just kill these people that are capturing you and then enslaving you? And the dragon, Hux, the dragon, he explains, look, there is more good than bad in that guard. I cannot kill him. There is more good than bad in this person over here. I cannot kill him to make my escape. And there's a moment when Hux explains to the people, there is a good and bad balance inside of Dev, this character that we're going to talk about. There is a good and bad balance in him. He is 50% good. He is 50% bad. He has not made his choice which side he's going to lean to. Until he makes that choice, the dragons cannot just murder him and make their escape. And I thought, what an interesting concept. What a good, positive concept to put in a middle grade book to show kids, look, we can't just go around calling people bad. We can't just go around telling people you're a bad person. Well, there's probably a nugget of good in that person. We just have to nurture the good nuggets in one another. The world according to Sandy. Nurture the good nuggets. Okay, so let's talk about the book now. There are multiple characters in the book who are statues. And these statues have been given life. They've been brought to life. They've been given like extra appendages, so to speak. They've been given wings. Okay, one of these is Cimber. Did I write down? No, I didn't give you a page. Yeah, fine. Okay, Simber, he is a statue of a cheetah, right? But he's been given wings so he can fly. And he's very big. He's large because when Simber is flying through the air, Simber can carry multiple people on his back to different locations. It's very creative. I'm telling you, this is a really good middle grade fantasy book. All right, let's see. He's been given wings and he's been brought to life. I don't want to give the impression he's just a babysitter, because that is not, he's not just a babysitter, but he does babysit and protect these twins, Pfeiffer and Thisbe. Okay. Pfeiffer and Thisbe are our main characters. They have another character named Seth, who is sort of a side main character in this book. Okay. But Pfeiffer and Thisbe are our characters who propel most of the action. We see them at the very beginning, and they are in the forest. They're too deep in the forest. They're deeper in the forest than they're supposed to be. They get into trouble, and there is another statue. It's a panther, and this one, has also been brought to life. And this one, they accidentally, Thisbe accidentally uses her magic. She's upset, she's emotional, she accidentally uses her magic and breaks Panther. So Panther is broken, the statue is broken, and this is essentially killing the statue. And she's upset, she's worried. Pfeiffer, upset, worried. Simber comes in and protects them and helps them and gets them away. And Simber's like, you killed Panther? Your brother Alex is not going to appreciate this. Alex is our head mage, and no, Alex doesn't appreciate it. Alex is very upset and worried, because Alex doesn't want the twins using their magical abilities. He doesn't want them doing this. He doesn't want them to practice magic. He doesn't want them getting into the magic school. He doesn't want them to get this vest that magic practitioners wear. And the vest, it has like little trinkets and components and stuff that you can use to do magic spells. Okay. He doesn't want them to have these magic vests. He doesn't want them working with magic because he does not think they can control it well enough to stay safe. And he wants to protect his little sisters. Okay. Everything he's doing in this book is centered and geared around protecting, suppressing, oppressing the people that he's with, the people that he loves, because he's afraid. Everything he's doing is coming from a place of fear. Yoda would have a problem with this. Okay. Everything he's doing is really coming from a place of fear. He decides he's not going to help these dragon captives because of this place of fear. He doesn't believe that he can help them because of an injury he has sustained in one of these 7 books that I didn't read. Right. So he thinks he can't do anything. It's all coming from a place of fear. It's all coming from a place of inferiority. Like he thinks he can't do things anymore. The character of Alex, I was so frustrated with him in this book. And I feel that during the first 7 books, he was a strong character. I think in these first 7 books, from the nuggets that were given in here, I think that during those first 7 books, he was a very strong character, and he was a hero in those first 7 books. And that's why he's the head mage, right? He has so much power and magic in him, but now he's afraid to use it. And now he thinks he can't. And now he won't let anyone. I'm frustrated with Alex. Okay. But because Alex has so suppressed his twin sisters, they sneak off in the night to go help these dragons. And that's the gist of our story. They sneak off to go help the dragons, and mayhem ensues. Okay. I'm not going to give away what they do, how they get there, what happens. I'm not going to give away all the things that take place. But let's talk about, how should I phrase this? There were things the author did that I thought were really good to keep us in the story. Okay. The writing kept us in the story. Is that how I want to say it? Okay. So I wrote down here, the author never lets us forget that all these human characters need food and water, and they're not getting it. Okay. There's so much tension. There's so much, there are so many moments of, oh my gosh, these poor kids, these poor characters, they need food, they need water, they need help. There is one scene where an adult and I think her son are going over to help the twins and Seth. I don't want to say too much about that. All I want to say is there is danger and there is an injury and there's no water. There's no water that they can drink. There's nothing to help this character who becomes injured, okay? And there's no water. And that happens so frequently where there's no water. And when Thisbe and Pfeiffer and Seth get to their destination to assist the dragon captives, again, there's no water. They need water and they're in search of water. They're in search of food. They need obviously sustenance. This is a basic requirement for life, right? And so it's the search for that that gets them into trouble. It's well done, but I mean, it's a basic need and they're looking for this basic need. And while they're looking for this basic need, mayhem ensues. Yeah. Mayhem. Okay. Then we have this character of Dev. I've mentioned him a minute ago, how he's 50% good and 50% bad. This character of Dev, man, while our main characters are hungry and in need of food, Dev makes a fishing line and catches a fish and cooks it and eats it in front of them. They are hungry. They don't know how to fish, and he doesn't show them how to fish. He doesn't let them fish. And he cooks food and eats it in front of them while they're hungry. And that's a rude thing to do. But that's because he's not always good. So let's see, page 237. Okay, page 237 is where we learn what the deal is with Dev, or why the dragons have not just stomped him underfoot. Okay, Hux is saying the dragon paused for a long time and then finally said, "He is exactly half good and half evil, and each side of him is fighting to take over." His ears twitched as if he were listening for Dev to return. "Only time will tell which side wins." Let's see, then page 275, we meet a character in a situation named Maven Tevir. Yeah, Maven Tevir. And we get basically the theme. Page 275. I thought it was interesting that Lisa gave this particular character, she sounds like a wise old crone type character, okay? She gave this character the dialogue. She gave this character the means to give us the theme in this book. Maven is talking about the Unwanteds for a minute here. The Unwanteds are the people with magic who live in Arteme because they've been exiled there, all right? "It's much better for the Unwanteds to be in Arteme." The old woman was silent for a time and then said, "Everything gets worse or better as time passes. It rarely stays the same." Thisbe frowned. "What do you mean?" "Lands, people, situations," Maven said, passionately enough to send her into a coughing fit. When she could speak again, she continued, "Everything. It either gets better or it gets worse. Think about Quill. You said it was getting better. What about Arteme? Is it getting better there or worse? Consider people you know. They are always changing one way or another. Think about yourself, Thisbe. Are you getting better or worse?" The questions made Thisbe uncomfortable. She stayed quiet, pondering them, thinking about her destructive magic and how she still couldn't stop it. And then she thought of what Hux had said about Dev, and about how he was exactly 50% good and 50% evil, and that time would tell which direction he moved in. "I don't know," Thisbe said in a small voice. Maven paused. "I'm sorry. I've just realized you are a child, aren't you? You sounded much older before." "I'm not a child," said Thisbe. "I'm 12. "I see," said Maven solemnly. After a while, she asked, "Will you tell me more about your world so I can see it in my mind forever? It will help me pass the days." "How many days have you been in here?" Maven hesitated. "I don't want to tell you." "Why not?" There was a long moment of silence before Maven broke it once more. "Because I don't want you to be afraid." Isn't that suspenseful, right? Adding some tension, but we're getting the theme in there. We're getting that idea of, things are going to change. They can change for the better or they can change for the worse, right? And people can change too. People can change for the better or for the worse. And Maven is saying this to Thisbe. And it's like we're broadcasting, hey, Thisbe, you're changing. Is it going to be for the better or for the worse? Okay. One of the things we see with Thisbe, especially, is that she's, I don't want to say she's a brat, but she's kind of a brat. Okay. She wants to do magic. She wants to use it. She wants to be good at it. She wants to do all the things. Okay. She wants to go to this like magic school. She wants to get the vest and have all the little components and trinkets. She wants to be able to do stuff. She wants to prove to her older brother, Alex, that she can do this stuff. She's the one who decided, hey, Pfeiffer, we need to go help these dragon captives. She's the one who said, hey, let's bring Seth along because he's got that vest and he can help us with his magic stuff, right? So I don't want to say she's a troublemaker. That's not what I mean by this. But she is the one who instigates an awful lot of stuff, all right? She is going through an arc in this book. And it's a pretty big arc, okay? Let's put it there, okay? Now, Seth, bless his heart. Poor Seth is just dragged along in all the things that Thisbe and Pfeiffer want to do. He is their friend, and he is just kind of along for the ride. But there is a point in here. He says something to them that just sums up the whole dynamic of this like triangle. Okay, we've got the two sisters who they're kind of at odds. I mean, yes, they're twins. Yes, they love one another. Yes, they work together well when they work together. Okay, but they do antagonize one another quite a bit. They don't see eye to eye on everything. And poor Seth, he's kind of caught in the middle most of the time, trying to appease one or the other, trying to play the peacemaker at times, right? And when they're in a tough position, he's got to play peacemaker quickly. All right, so on page 175, they're supposed to be getting out of a tough situation, but using magic. It's not working out great. They're arguing about it. And Seth is speaking. He says, stop arguing and do something, please. Seth called out again. And that kind of sums up the whole dynamic right there. They argue, and Seth is like, stop arguing. You do something. Do what you need to do. Get us out of this mess. It kind of sums him up. All right, then we have an example of the writing style again on pages 214 to 215. An example of the suspense that Lisa can show us. All right, when Cimber took a wild turn, Karina could only hope it was because he had spotted the young man. But a sensation of her world brightening made her realize they were headed upward. At the same time, the water pulsed again, and soon Karina felt a deepening suction tugging at her, nearly ripping her body off Cimber's. She tightened her grip, dug her heels into his flanks, and hung on for dear life. Seconds later, Cimber and Karina burst from the water as the volcano plunged below the surface, dragging millions of gallons of water and everything else floating nearby into its empty maw. They circled and circled as the water crashed below, Cimber's senses on their highest alert possible, and Karina staring at the churning water until it felt like her eyes would pop out. Before she could fully catch her breath, Cimber made a sharp turn in midair. Hang on, he cried, and soared like a bullet, back down to the roiling surface, claws outstretched. With a frustrated roar, he swooped into the whirlpool of water like a giant hawk that had spotted its prey. They hit the water hard, and then Cimber turned sharply toward the sky and rose up. This time, hanging from his claws was Thatcher's limp body. Suspenseful, right? Yeah, nicely done. We hop around in different points of view in there. I mean, we're in Cimber's, we're in Karina's, we're feeling what they're feeling. But, and that happens a lot in this book. We hop heads a lot in scenes. But, I mean, it's a middle grade fantasy. Who cares? But we need to see what different people are feeling. We need to get the experience that the different characters are having when they're having it. I mean, like in that scene where, what page were we just on? 175. Yeah, on 175, when Seth is yelling at the girls, stop arguing, let's do something and go. we're moving around in different points of view because we've got 3 kids trapped somewhere, right? And these 3 kids are each experiencing this in real time. They're each experiencing different things in this trapped situation. I mean, you want to feel what they're feeling. And so Lisa lets you feel what they're feeling. Okay, I think that's enough. I don't want to give away everything that happens in here. I'm going to read the second book. And when I come to you with the review of the second book, I'm probably going to end up revealing stuff that happens in here. So if you want to go grab this before that happens, this was really, when did I say 2017? Yeah, 2017. So it's been a little while. You can still find it though, out there on the interwebs. So thumbs up for A Good Dragon Captive's Unwanted Quest. The first of a duology after a 7-book series. You guys, I don't feel that I needed to have read the first 7 books. Although I will tell you, I think I probably would have liked Alex better if I had read those 7 books. I think Alex was a big bad hero in those first 7 books. I think he saved the day a lot in those first 7 books. There's a lot that happens with him. He's got a twin brother. Also, I think there was a lot of family dynamics happening and saving the day and killing the queen and that kind of thing. I think a whole lot happened in those 7 books that made Alex just an absolute hero. But he was injured, and now he just, boy, he lives a pretty careful life now. He's awfully cautious, and that caution is overly cautious, which is a shame. I don't want to say he's a wuss. I just want to say he's overly cautious, and that over caution is, I believe, is what led to his twin sisters sneaking out in the night and getting into trouble. That's my opinion. My opinion. Thumbs up for Dragon Captives. You guys, thank you so much for tuning in.